God's grace and peace to you this first Sunday in September. We are back, if you will, to our usual routine. School is back in session. Sunday school is beginning. All of those things that signified the new school year and fall is coming upon us. And as with it usually goes in the lectionary, the set of readings that we follow throughout the year, the fall brings us back where we start in Genesis again. And we read Genesis on all the way through up until Advent, where we focus on, of course, the birth story of Jesus. And then we start in January through this parables, etc., of Jesus up until Lent. Then we do Easter, and then we go into Pentecost when we look at the letters of Paul, among other things. And this routine, this cycle, is something that maybe you don't realize, but I very acutely realize as a part. It's just normal for me to start reading through Genesis again come fall. And so we're going to start that today, and this is a little bit longer, but, well, it's kind of an important story, so we're not going to edit it down. But I'm going to read for you the very first telling of the creation story found in the first book of Genesis. When God began to create the heavens and the earth was without shape or form. It was dark over the deep sea, and God's wind swept over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And so light appeared, and God saw how good the light was. God separated the light from the darkness. God named the light day and the darkness night. There's evening and there was morning, the first day. God said, "Let there be a dome in the middle of the waters to separate the waters from each other." God made the dome and separated the waters under the dome from the waters above the dome. And it happened in that way. God named the dome sky. There was evening and there was morning, the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the sky come together into one place so that the dry can appear." God named the dry land earth, and he named the gathered waters the seas. God saw how good it was. And God said, "Let the earth grow plant life, plants yielding seeds and fruit trees bearing fruit with seeds inside it, each according to its kind throughout the whole earth." The earth produced plant life, plants yielding seeds, each according to its kind. The trees bearing fruit with seeds inside, each according to its kind. And God saw how good it was. There was evening and there was morning, the third day. God said, "Let there be lights in the dome of the sky to separate the day from the night. They will mark the events, sacred season, days, and years. And they will be lights in the dome of the sky to shine upon the earth." God made the stars and two great lights, the larger light to rule over the day and the smaller light to rule over the night. God put them in the dome of the sky to shine on the earth and to rule over the day and night and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw how good it was. There was evening and there was morning, the fourth day. God said, "Let the waters swarm with living things and let birds fly above the earth in the dome of the sky." God created the great sea animals and all the tiny little things that swam in the waters, each according to its kind, and all the winged birds, each according to its kind. God saw how good it was, and God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the waters and the seas, and let the birds multiply on earth." There was evening and there was morning, the fifth day. God said, "Let the earth produce every kind of living thing, livestock, crawling things, and wildlife." God made every kind of wildlife, every kind of livestock, and everything and every kind of creature that crawls upon the ground. God saw how good it was. Then God said, "Let us make humanity in our image to resemble us, so that they may take charge of all of the earth." God created humanity in God's own image. In the divine image of God created them, male and female. God created them. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fertile, multiply, fill the earth and care for it." Then God said, "I now give to you all the plants of the earth that yield seeds and all the trees whose fruit produces seeds within it. These will be your food, and to all wildlife, to all the birds in the sky and everything crawling on the ground, to everything that breathes. I give all the green grasses for food." God saw everything that was made, and it was supremely good. There was evening and there was morning, the sixth day. Then the heavens and the earth and all who live in them were completed. And on the sixth day God completed all the work that he had done. And on the seventh day God rested from all the work that he had done. God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. Here ends our reading, first chapter of Genesis, the story of creation. I grew up in a home that was, by all means, pretty traditional. My mom and dad did all the things that parents do, in all the different ways and all the different varieties that all they do. But we had some traditions that were pretty hard and fast, especially around meals. It was so important to my parents that we would eat meals together. And as a child, I can always remember we always sat together most nights of the week and had dinner together. And as, of course, we grew up, things changed and it got busier and busier. Sports and jobs and all of those things made it hard to gather when we could all be a family unit together. And it didn't happen as often, except for one day. There was one meal each week that was somewhat sacrosanct in our house. That was not an optional thing. There was not, I wanted to go do X, Y, or Z. It was planned around everyone's schedule, and on Sunday nights, either the first day of the week or the last, however you like to look at it, we would gather at the table. And Sunday nights wasn't just a meal. I mean, it was. My mom was a great cook, and we would do whatever it was. But Sunday nights had a different feel to it, not because it was Sunday, but because it was the one time that we would gather together to eat. And she would bring out the good china, the china they got when they got married in 1971, I want to say. White with the silver pattern. We got all of it, plates, and we got the nice cups, the ones that didn't have Star Wars on them and things like that. We would get, the gravy boat would come out and with mashed potatoes in that bowl. The serving bowls would be all this china. And it was this grand affair of very normal food. The food we would eat on any other night too, but in this case it was just dolled up in this good china. The thing I hated about this good china was it did not go in the dishwasher. And we didn't get to use the dishwasher a lot because usually this was the dishwasher. I actually like doing dishes. There's something satisfying about cleaning them and putting them away. But as a kid, you'd do all the dinner and you'd clean all the stuff up. Every single dish that came out had to be washed. But china had to be washed by hand. Every single time, every little plate. All of the dishes for serving, the special spoons that might come out that we only used on special occasions. But it left an imprint. It was something special, something sacred about taking that time intentionally, about making a break before the start of the new school week when everything got busy and crazy, and that moment of family. And let's not pretend it was, a Leave It to Beaver kind of moment. We didn't sit around the table and everyone agreed. It was often bickering. It was often, if I hear that one more time, God help me. You know how those family dinners typically go. But the china was a signifier that this was a different meal. It reminds me of an author I enjoy, Rob Bell, who went through a traumatic brain injury at one point in time, lost his memory, couldn't, for 6 some odd weeks, could not remember what was going on in his life, his family, his children, his work, nothing. It just poof. And little by little, things started coming back to him, and it made him rethink about how and why he did what he did. How and why he would work so very, very hard and take so little time, because the work he did was good and important. And nonetheless, it meant by saying yes to everything else, he was saying no to other things that were just as important, maybe more so. And he talks about wondering why they had these fancy dishes in a cupboard. And he just didn't understand because his brain was damaged. He didn't know, why would you have these fancy dishes in the cupboard and never use them? Why wouldn't you use them all the time? Well, it was explained to him. Well, that's the good china. It's only for special occasions. And he kept asking, but why? If it's this beautiful dishes, why don't we use it? Now, he didn't complain about having to hand wash them. I'll be clear about that. But the question stands, why don't we use the good china? Why don't we take the time when we have it to sit and enjoy? Why is it that we always put other things in front of our joy in this life? That we always say, I will get to it when? This story of creation, as we read it in Genesis, tells of the way that God creates the heavens and the earth, everything that there is. We get these glimpses of each day as it's created, and then we hear this repeated refrain that God saw that it was good. God saw that it was very good. God saw that it was supremely good. But the whole story begins in this place, our planet, without shape or form, filled with nothingness or chaos, however you'd like to describe it. And from all of this lack, God creates this overwhelming blessing of all of creation, from light to dark, the waters and land, the plants, the birds, the air, the fishes of the sea, the crawling things, animals, and people even. Each day begins with God decreeing what God will do, what will happen, what should be done, and lo and behold, it happens. And every single day, God steps back and sees what has been created in this goodness and says, oh, this is good. And finally, we come to that day, that seventh day. There was evening, there was morning, the sixth day. And we know this story of creation that brings us to day 7. We even know the part of the story where we have part 2 of Genesis in the 2nd chapter that talks about Adam and Eve and a serpent and a fruit tree that has the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We know all of this, and we ignore day 7 because nothing much happens. Nothing was created. Well, I'll disagree with that, but nothing big, right? Humans, no. Birds, no. Plants, no. Water, no. Sun, no. Moon, no. On this 7th day, we read, God blessed the 7th day and made it holy. God rested after all that had been done. God took time, sat back, reclined, laid in a hammock, and said, this is good. Let me rest and enjoy all of it. How are you about sitting back and relaxing and enjoying? Resting from the work you have done? We live in a culture that takes pride in our busyness. It's a badge of honor to work long days and gripe about how little time we have off. To keep our nose to the grindstone and celebrate the hustle culture of too many hours and not enough rest. Growing up, it was drilled into my head. Rule number 1, always work hard, no matter what. But there was a close second rule. You work hard so that when you aren't working, you can rest and you can feel enjoyment in your break. We're not good at breaks. How many times have you heard, I need a vacation from my vacation? We don't know how to just sit and be, to share a moment of rest and just enjoy what's there. When we rest, we think, I need to do this, I need to do this, I'm going to make my list. I got to get this, I got to get this. And eventually, someday down the road, I'll do that dream trip. I'll do the thing that I've always wanted to do. I'll be the person I've always wanted to be and sit and sip and relax. I want to take a moment with you to share something that has been, at least for me, something that helps me think and relax. That reminds me in the midst of a busyness of this world, of all the good hard work that we do, that we have done, that we plan on doing, that we also don't live faithfully when we don't work hard too at enjoying God's good creation, enjoying the great gifts of God that were given for us to care for and to tend, to enjoy. So let me read for you 2 different poems that just stick with me. The first is by an author named Wendell Berry. Near and dear to my heart, his writing has inspired me time and time again. Was one of his more popular, famous, at least in those kind of circles, poems called The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests, his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. The second is by E.E. Cummings. I thank you, God, for this most amazing day, for the leaping green spirits of trees and a blue, true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again today, and this is the Son's birthday. This is the birthday of life and of love and wings, and the gay great happening, illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any lifted from the know of all nothing, human merely being, doubt unimaginable you? Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. When was the last time you just sat, cleared your mind, rested, celebrated God's good creation? Whether it be sitting by the lake, listening to the waves crash against the sand, sitting on a porch or backyard, or maybe in a recliner, just looking out at the birds flitting from tree to tree, the leaves blowing in the wind, or that smell of first rain. When was the last time you took time to faithfully observe and enjoy all that God has given to us. We have all been created in the image of the divine. We've all been created to care for this actual creation, this place that we live, which means that we too have been created to care for ourselves. Part of caring for ourselves means that we must take time to rest, to reflect, to enjoy and find joy in this beautiful world that God has tasked us to care for, and to take joy in. May this day find a moment for you where you might sit and be, where you might bust out the good china for no good reason other than to do something special, to take a moment and celebrate how good this life can be, even in the midst of dark times. May you find a way to celebrate God's good creation and rest as God has created us to do in that holy image that we were created in. Amen.
This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears, all nature sings and round me rings the music of the spheres. This is my Father's world, I rest in the thought of rocks and trees, of skies and seas, His hand the wonders wrought. This is my Father's world. Oh, let us not forget that though the wrong is great and strong, God is the ruler yet. He trusts us with His word to keep it clean and fair. All earth and trees, all skies and seas, all creatures everywhere. This is my Father's world. He shines in all that's fair. In the rustling grass I hear Him pass. He speaks to me everywhere.